All right, we're just going to wander around.
Yeah.
Let's go randomly. So, around the building, you'll see these are tube posters. So in 2006, I started a company called Art Below, is our logo. And what Art Below is all about is enabling artists to have their work on the tube. And so over those years, I've supported thousands of artists, giving them the opportunity to have their work on billboard space, which is normally used for advertising, but for them to show their art in place of advertising. So turning ad space into art space. And this piece is by quite an important artist called Marcus Harvey, who actually won the Turner Prize. And it's an image of Maggie Thatcher, but if you look closely, it's all made of quite unpleasant objects. I get the feeling that Marcus wasn't a huge fan of Maggie. But we put this on the tube around the time when Maggie Thatcher died. So yeah, around the building you'll see these tube posters, and they're just a selection from the archive of Art Below. This piece, I'm very proud to have this piece in the building. It's by Conrad Shawcross, who's one of the biggest artists in the exhibition. He's been doing very well for quite a long time now, and he has his work in lots of museums and galleries and in public spaces, like outside King's Cross Station, for example. There's a huge Conrad Shawcross piece of sculpture. And here we have Charles Saatchi. This is a waxwork of Charles Saatchi. It's done by Gordon McCarg. Lights on. Let's put it in a slightly different place. So yeah, this room is, I've given this room to a good friend and fellow artist called Rupert Knox, who, this is quite recent of his work, where he's at currently, so very abstract at the moment, although he doesn't just do abstract. He's incredibly talented painter, and he's always painting. He produces so much work, and he's an artist that I've been working with for about 3 years, and I've been pushing him forward and supporting him and getting him out there, selling quite a lot of his work. I'm really happy with the presentation of this piece here. I think it owns the wall really nicely. And yeah, this piece, so recently he's really been able to own the very light application of paint onto the canvas, not overworking it. So it ends up with this great finished effect of just not too much, because in his journey to get to this place, he sort of sometimes ends up overcomplicating and over-applying the paint. So here, for example, I feel I'm not very happy with this painting at all. I don't even think he should be showing it in here. Whereas over here, he sort of nailed it again. But again, there's no way that I'm going to allow for this to be exhibited like this here. Just what a beautiful piece, but being exhibited on a piece of wooden board, just not going to do it justice. So we've still got a long way to go in the curation of this room. Because things like these small details can make or break the sale of a painting. This painting is incredible, but the way it's hanging over a door, just can't have that. This, however, is a bit more like it. I'm happy with the placement, but we need to paint all the walls. Again, I absolutely love this painting, and there's all sorts of things that on first look that you don't see, but when you live with this painting, as I have done and experienced it in different states of mind, there's all sorts of journeys that you go into within the canvas. It's got lots of deep pathways into other sort of realms, which on first glance you don't actually see. But yeah. Should we cruise on? The guy who's responsible for the elephant in the room is a man named Sam Haggerty, who is also nicknamed the One-Eyed Gypsy. And when you hear the word gypsy, you normally think of, I don't know why, but I do. I always think of someone quite small in size. But the guy who made this is huge, giant of a man, and he's got one glass eye. But he's a big character, and he's sort of part of a community of artists that are linked to this show. And he actually runs the Unfairground at Glastonbury. He's the boss of that section of Glastonbury. And he sort of knows everyone, and everyone knows him. So he's quite a good person to have in the exhibition. I don't think we're going to bother talking about that room at the moment. It's not ready. Should we go upstairs? Going up the grand stairs to the grand hall. My dog flies down these stairs at huge speeds, at high speeds, sorry. I can edit that in later. This is the moon room. So, yeah, we've gone space themed in here, spaceman themed. As you can see, we've still got the moon. Well, in this room, myself and Bob, who lives here on site, we did the plastering for Stonehenge over about a period of a month. And so I decided that I actually really like the plaster on the ground, so leave it here and it could be like the effect of the moon. But yeah, I've had a fascination with the moon for some time now, and on 2019, which is the 50th anniversary of the moon landings, I did a project where I gave lots of artists, well not lots, like 12 artists, because there was 12 men who walked on the moon, gave 12 artists an astronaut helmet to transform into a work of art. And people like Mr. Brainwash, the Chapman brothers, Hayden Kays, this is actually one of mine. But with a lot of my work, so I had the concept, basically, very simple concept, which is the moon on the outside and the Earth on the visor. And I could have done this myself, but there's no way it would look anything like as good as it does. So I pride myself in getting the right artist for the job. So I got Tim Gatenby to do the Earth on this side, and I got Colin to build the moon on this side. So two very great craftsmen, lending their expertise to my concept, and then I just take all the credit and try and sell it eventually. Although that one, I love it so much, I'm quite happy to hang on to it myself. Again, this is another one of my concepts. This space outfit I wore as an installation to Glastonbury Festival and was an astronaut for the duration of the festival. I've got lots of footage of that which I can share with you if you want to do flashbacks or whatever. And it's the reflection of when the guys were first walked on the moon. It's the very famous reflection that was in the photograph on the first moon landings. And this one is referring to the conspiracy that the moon landings is just a big hoax, which I personally don't believe. I actually do believe that we achieved what was that incredible achievement, which was to reach another planet, which is only 50 years ago. But what an incredible, I think at that moment in time, when we did hit the moon, I think it was just, there was symbolically and planetarily just such a breakthrough that will continue to reveal just how big that breakthrough was. We probably don't even understand yet what we were actually doing 50 years ago. Anyway, here is the henge, Stonehenge. And yeah, for me, getting this made and installed was, for me, the biggest breakthrough, the first big breakthrough with this building. Because before that, the hotel owners who'd given me this amazing opportunity were just, they just knew that I was curating an art exhibition. But once I got this installed, it sort of set a precedent for the rest of the exhibition of like the level that we're going for. I'm immensely proud of it. I have a deep fascination and curiosity about Stonehenge, and for me to build something of this scale that actually works with the natural light of the natural light coming through the windows of the building has been a huge breakthrough for me to do this. I could actually show you. This is one of the things I like to do. So I look at it occasionally and I just start to rework areas that I think are not need fixing, or so I just occasionally just like turn things around until I get it kind of perfect. This bit here is very much matched to the henge in Salisbury on the A303. So yeah, just moving things around until I feel like it's really starting to see. Yeah, this is it's also not it's also about getting it so it's nice and stable and secure. There's a lot of maintenance that goes with this as well, so a lot of hoovering of the grass that needs to be done. My dog is always like, he thinks it's outside, so he often like tries to take a piss or a shit in the henge, which sort of brings me down a bit. Yeah, I'm not quite happy with this at the moment. This particular bit of the henge is bothering me. I need to touch it up as well because you're seeing all the plaster coming through. Because there's yeah, my daughter actually knocked this one over. But the good thing about the henge is that it, you know, it's not a really fragile piece. It can be restored and transported, take a bit of a beating, and then once assembled, then, you know, touched up and made to look right again. And it's called Los Hengelese because it's my dream at some stage to take this to LA and to put the henge up in LA. So I think LA could do with a bit of hengeness in its culture. Yeah, so it sort of looks all right now. I'm not really happy with the way that's one looking. Yeah, so there's I can just spend hours just walking around trying to make these look, position them better. This one I'm quite happy with actually. This one's nearly been done to perfection. Just the way that this is like really looking very much like stone, which is what I wanted to achieve. Part of me has been quite tempted just to say to the street artists, right guys, go for it, tag them all up, and just to let them loose. But another idea is to bronze them, to give them a bronze finish. But yeah, for now, quite happy with the way it's standing. I could do the roof if you like. Do you want to do the roof? Or is that a separate? Should we do that? Did you come up you came up the roof last time, didn't you? Yeah. Okay, are you going to be all right doing it with that? Huh? Let's go up to the roof. You get a great view of the henge from up here. Oh. You good? Cool. You all right?
Yeah, cheers.
Here we are on the roof of the Fulham Town Hall. You can see large sections of West London and London in general. You can just see the Shard over there. And yeah, I'm proud to be from West London. I've spent most of my life in the west of London. So for me to get this opportunity to curate an exhibition of this scale in such a important building, or what was historically so important, is a huge privilege. And I feel a big responsibility to sort of put West London back on the map in terms of creating a really culturally vibrant scene, and to give the public, you know, a really good insight into the artists, not just of West London, but the London-based artists, because we've had this space over 2 lockdowns, and a lot of the artists that are involved were kind of losing the will to live because they hadn't seen anyone or done anything or spoken or been around anyone for so long. And art very much relies on, you know, real life, and it relies on the city being able to work. And during these lockdowns, the city had come to a standstill, and so these artists, giving them this space here was like giving them a beacon of hope. And I think it was very much welcomed by a lot of the artists involved in this lockdown time, because it got them out and got them talking, got them, you know, doing stuff again, gave them something to do again. And yeah, looking at where this building is, you'll see over there is the bank. That building says the bank on, and down there is the King's Head, which is the pub, and the King's Head was been open since 1680, I think it was, and the bank obviously of another historic building. So, and this was the town hall, so you got those 3 important buildings: the town hall, the boozer, and the bank. And you know, all 3 buildings are still very much intact, and would have been, when this was built in 1890, 130 years ago, this was the centre of Fulham. So yeah, town hall, boozer, bank. And it's interesting to see that it's still very much intact, that this road here would have been all horses and carts, but still very much the same road. Because I think historically Fulham was probably way more important than it is now, and culturally probably a lot more happening than these days. So yeah, as I say, it feels good to put it back on the map again, or try to at least. Should also mention the Chelsea Football Club over there, that my son is a fan of. Yeah, my son's grandfather was a big part of the Fulham crowd, and he sadly passed away exactly this time last year, actually. So he would have been really blown away to have seen me take on this building, because he probably spent a lot of time in this building over the years, because he was a proper Fulham guy, lad, local, whatever you want to call it. Yeah. What else can we talk about up here?
Which way is east? West, north?
It's quite interesting looking at the world from above. You start to see things like the reflection of that bus. It's got certain numbers written on the top. That's for like the helicopters You'll see that bus over there coming along. It's got certain coding written on the roof of it, just coming up here, and that's basically a whole world of coding for an aerial observation. So everything, you start to see these markings that only for people looking down at the world from above. So there's an interesting dynamic being so high. It's quite good to get the sight. I don't know if you can get Art in the Age of Now and the reflection of that. Do you see it? It's quite a nice touch. What else can we chat about?
When was the first time you came up?
On the roof. First time I came up here was December. My friend Rupert, he's a keen climber, and I said he looked at one point in the night or the morning, he just looked really excited. I was like, "What's going on, man? What are you up to?" He's like, "Oh man, come and check this out." And he took me up here, and yeah, it was quite cold. It was the morning time, but it was yeah, I just wasn't expecting to have that kind of experience like from out of nowhere. It's one of the hidden gems of the building, I'd say, one of the many treats that it has to offer. I'm guessing that's part of the roof. That's the new bit of the building, the new part of the building that was built. Yeah. There's a few graffiti crews. So there's quite. I've learnt recently. There's a huge difference between people who call themselves urban artists and graffiti artists. And graffiti artists apparently are way more naughty and mischievous. And you can see there's a crew called LSD who have been right out on this roof and done a piece there. There's a door sort of open underneath that fan. It's got LSD marked on it. And yeah, those kind of guys, they're always up for getting out on a rooftop and risking their life just to go and do a tag somewhere. But yeah, they have actually, I can show you points in the building where they've actually done a bit of vandalism in quite a quite disrespectfully, some of them. But yeah, freedom of expression and all that. We should not shut them down. Yeah. Could also talk about get a shot inside here as well. Yeah. Have you looked?
Yes.
Yeah.
Give him 1 day to see.
All right, careful here because it's a little bit ambiguous. Don't know if you don't want to get at this stuff, do you?
Let's see if we can do it.
I mean, there are walkways and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Be careful because that is. So where we're walking now is like really from the ancient building of, from all the way back in 1890. This stuff would have been, a lot of it is really from 1890. And you can, here you can actually control the lights that are inside. You can either lower them or heighten them depending on what mood you're in. I don't know if I'm bringing it higher or lower, but when we go down, there might be possible to see. Yeah, these things remind me of sort of beekeeping, beehive type situations. There's the possibility of actually going right up here. So yeah, here's another one of these things where you can lower it or heighten it. Yeah, there's all manner of functionality. So much to do and so little time to do it in. Yeah, and obviously like highly flammable. Which so far has not been a problem. So far. Careful on where you're walking. You good?
Yeah.
You okay? You get quite a good shot of the henge from up on this level. But just going to get my sandwich. Do you want to get me playing the piano? Shall I carry on? Oh, little giveaway. Yeah. So, I mean, this is kind of what you had in mind, right? Yeah. A walk around type thing. These won't be up. I don't know. These have still got to find a home. But this piece is my Boris piece, and it's when he became mayor in a few years back, 2008, 2009, 10 sort of time. And I was at a party, and I thought I saw Boris across the room. And I shouted at Boris, and it turned out to be Boris Becker's brother. And that's when I realised that Boris Johnson looks a bit like Boris Becker, and I decided to do a piece where I just put the head of Johnson on the body of Becker, and it's just called Boris, and it's when he won to be mayor. But actually, like, everyone has it, people aren't very nice about Boris. People always got something negative and mean to say about him, but I don't really keep up with what his politics are. I'm not really sure, you know. I don't really find any of that ever particularly affects me in my life. It probably does. I'm probably being very naive, but as far as prime ministers are concerned, he's the first and only prime minister I've ever really felt like I have I felt like familiarity with him, and I quite like the guy. I mean, I don't personally know him, but I sort of think he's all right. Yeah, as I say, I've got no idea what his policies are and all that, but yeah, I think he's all right. All right. I don't know, we go courtroom or... So courtroom is quite dark, whereas this is quite light over here. Do you want the lightness or the... Yeah. Huh. Some African masks, vibe. Here we got a piece by Charlotte Colbert, piece of sculpture. So I wanted to have an area of the exhibition where you just had like the simplicity and the sparsity of just one piece of sculpture in this open, quite sparse room, this nice natural daylight coming in, to give the viewer's eye, you know, because in the rest of the exhibition there's quite a lot to look at in different rooms. In some rooms you're immersed with the artist's paintings or their installation, whereas in here I like the simplicity of just the solo piece of sculpture standing in the middle of the room. It shows off the room and it also shows off the sculpture. Now we actually have the problem of a pigeon in the space, which is actually can be a massive problem. I've had this problem before, and trying to get the pigeon out without hurting the pigeon is quite challenging. I'm going to try and get him out potentially through the way they came in. But yeah, it's a problem having the pigeon in the space because they can potentially shit all over the artwork as well. I'm wondering, do you want, should we do that on film or? Okay. So we're going to try and lure. Right. Figure out. Got to try and get him in the other bit of the room. Now, he needs to come down a bit and then go through the archway. There, right, good. Okay, so now we've got him in here. We open this window here. That is the window that the artist left open, and that's where they got in through. So let's get him. Slowly try and work him back to the window where he first came in through. No. Yeah, it's going to take a while. But, okay, so let's just carry on with the, this again is more of Rupert's work. It's beautiful, it's actually one of my favourite paintings in the exhibition, in the whole exhibition. Look here, you've got this sort of couple that are embracing. This is like a shoulder and two figures like almost dancing together. And then you can see here there's a body, female body, another female. There's a fox here. Yeah, there's a lot going on in this painting, but yeah, it's beautiful colours, great composition, nice piece. This is a really good shot for the boob sculpture. The bird's just going to have to stay here for a while until we figure out how to get him out. This is this will be good. Not many filmmakers get this bit. Hi, Joe.
Hello, mate.
Have you got a mask? Put the mask on. Good. I've got a filmmaker here.
All right.
It's called Oliver. Is it okay if we do a bit of filming in there?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. What's it for?
Ollie?
Oh, well, I don't know yet. It's for Ben and the situation.
Yeah, it's
What's happening now?
Okay, digital documentation, is it?
yeah.
Documentation, yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's like a documentary for the exhibition.
Okay. Cool, yeah. Yeah. Great.
Do you want to do some talking with?
Sure,
Put
yeah.
the mic on. Are you in the mood for chatting?
Yeah, for sure, totally.
You might want to wear a tie mic.
Okay, yeah. Just finish this one.
Yeah. LEDs.
Yeah, standard. These are quite nice, so they're standalone, so you don't need to plug them in.
Yeah.
I told her, and she wanted to quote a bit more, and I said, no, you can't do that because Ben's on power. Do you know what I mean?
Hello. Okay. I'll come in and get you. All right. I've just got to go and let someone in.
All right.
So I'll give Joe this.
Okay.
And he'll give you like.
Well, I don't have a look in there, but there's a lot of sculpture stuff in there as well.
Is this all yours?
Yeah.
Well, would you mind just sort of showing?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Thanks very much.
Okay, so just give me a nod.
Oh.
All right. Hello, my name's Joe Rush. I'm building the theatre waste here in Fulham Town Hall, and it's basically I'm building these and finding these characters made out of found objects and dismantled parts of old machines, and creating these little characters. You know, like these, I see them as little boxes, and so their little theatre is this, you know, boxing ring and this fight going on between them. And then, yeah, so, you know, and so all these different scenarios. This one's a jungle up here, and then it's going to be like an underwater thing here with this little diver. There's going to be a scrapyard here for dogs, really. It's, you know, there's going to be a collection of dogs from the scrapyard built out of scrap. This is a war wedding. So this is a wedding in the First World War, and my interpretation of it. You know, in all the destruction of this destroyed church, you know, and these you know, broken dreams, you know. So this is all these weddings that happened in haste in wartime, you know. And then you know, the man went off and died, or the woman got bombed, or whatever. And the you know, the weddings just the marriages disappeared. So that's what that story is about. There's a couple on the theme of war here. This one is not actually built in there. This will have a character in it, but this is a story about all the destruction of war, and then there's just this one. The only bit of colour in the whole thing is this little plant that's fighting its way out of all this mess that mankind has made. You know, so they're all little theatres, right? Telling little stories, you know, and the characters, telling stories about the characters, really.
All the bones on the.
Yeah, the bones. They sort of saw this church in Czech Republic one time, the way everything was built out of these bones that they'd taken out of the catacombs, and they'd built the chandeliers, and I've always really loved it. So these aren't real bones; these are plastic bones. You know, a friend of mine found a skip load of medical skeletons, which and he thought, who'd need that? And they thought, Joe would need that, so he dropped them off for me. So. But again, it fits quite nicely with this story of war, you know, like they're just a sheer. So in the back here, in the back here is like really well keep all the little characters. So this is a tree made out of spanners. You know, it's a story about time. This one, it's called Tempus Fugit. So it's about time, how time flies on, and the seasons come, and things grow, and things, are born and grow, and then rust and decay. So that's those sort of stories in there. And these are the sort of characters that I'll be showing in the Theatre of Waste. And they're sort of discoveries, these characters. I don't really know what I'm going to make until I'm making it, and then I sort of discover it in the scrap pile, just put the pieces together, and then I suddenly realise that there's a little character here, and I can sort of understand how they are and how they move and how they position, but I never know the character before they appear. And these will all be out on display. These little stories here. These are a group of friends who are just all really having a good laugh. That's the thing that unites them, is that they're all sharing this joke. And you can see they're built out of all sorts of different things. And these are actually moulds that the dentists use to make teeth, to make impressions of teeth. But this is a nice little one. She's very sweet. This is like she's called the little dancer. A bit like Rodin's Little Dancer. And she's. But her head, funny enough, her head is just one piece that I found, which is a hook, and it's just everything was there: the eyes, the nose, the mouth, the hair. So I'll be selling little editions of these, during the show. And so on, really, It's, Yeah, he's sort of like, this is supposed to be like the 1,000-yard stare, that these blokes got after they were being, they've just been under bombardment for days, they're just like. And these are. So and some of these, some of these pieces would be accompanied with drawings, to sort of This is made out of found objects, but it's cast in bronze. So it's actually, this is entirely made of bronze now, including this stick. So these are additions, you know, and so all of these little characters will be cast eventually, like into bronze and sold as bronzes.
Oh, right.
So, you know, like, and here, let me show you, here's one which is, and this is already made into bronze. So what would happen is I would make that piece, these two little characters, you can see that, I don't know if you can see them, but they have, you know, they have some sort of relationship going on between them. And so I would make this, and then I take this to this foundry called Pangolin Editions, and they take it all apart, mould every part of that I've used, you know, which is, this is an old office desk sort of calendar thing where you click the day and the month around, you know, the coffee pot and the door hinge, and, you know. And so they would just take all that apart and then mould every part, and then they reassemble it. And you know, then I can make I'll make about 12 of these eventually, you know. But I really love the bronze, you know, the metal. I mean, this is bronze, but I've managed to get quite an aluminium effect on it. This was originally rubber; it was a part of a car engine, and these as well, part of an old, you know, Ford V8. Again, just little stories, you know. Where is his? So they're a bit in pieces. Look at his ears. We've lost his ears. So that's him. He's a. Yeah. So this one will be out in the doghouse as well, like, you know, the scrapyard dog. He's a little portrait of this little dog I had called Fitz, who was an English bull terrorist. And he was like, you know, he was such a lunatic. And so that's my portrait of him. Yeah.
So what draws you to the war thing? Do you think?
I was really fascinated by it when I was a kid. I had these big books, or in the school library, these big books called The Great War, and they were just old photographs of, and I just thought, it's not that I like it, because I absolutely hate it. It's just so many things. The First World War especially was just the end of this old world, you know, like, you know, people went into the war, you know, like in, you know, shiny battle dress, you know, and you know, like, and then, you know, by the end of it, they all went rubber and gas masks and this gas and pollution and mud, and it just, you know, they started with these funny little things that looked like box kites that were the planes. By the end of the war, 4 years later, you know, these things were sleek fighting machines, and I just think it was a very big, important time for the human race. You know, the human race, you know, really confronted itself with its stupidity in that war, and, you know, many people's families, my own included, you know, like my grandfather lost his, you know, three of his brothers in the two wars. My grandmother lost her brother in the war, you know, and they're all just young men, you know, and just. So I don't know. I mean, you know, but it's not really about that war, because all wars, you know, to some degree or other, are the same, and they haven't gone away. You know, the war to end all wars wasn't the war to, you know, there's wars been fought all over the planet, all for stupid reasons, like money or religion, or, you know, and you know, so it's just a comment on really where, you know, the human beings have got to sort of evolve. Where we've got to get over this thing, you know, because what happens in a war is, you know, everyone goes flying in, and the people who get involved in the war at the beginning are professional soldiers, you know, people whose whole life has been about, you know, going to fight, you know, so they're keen to get into the action, but they all get wiped out in the first couple of weeks, you know, and then all you've got is people just dragged away from their homes, given a gun and shoved out there, you know, and it drags on until everyone's totally sick of it, and eventually draws to a conclusion, you know. It's complete opposite of a party or a festival, you know. I've made my life in parties and festivals, you know, and running events, but the logistics are quite similar. But you know, the outcome is completely different. This is what Arlo Guthrie, you know, the musician, wrote on his guitar, and Joe Strummer wrote it on his guitar. And so this is my sort of take on this. So this is a First World War rifle turned into this, and I will eventually get this so I can play it, you know. But yeah, this machine kills fascists. You know, music, partying, you know, sort of love and fun. You know, get through it. You know. And this is interesting. This is quite interesting because this is what this is this is what they used to do on the battlefield. You know, when they didn't have time to bury anyone because the battle was raging, they would just get their guns, stick it into the mud, put their hat on it, and hang their dog tags on it, and that, you know. But I find it. I actually think it's an unconscious sculpture because you do get this little profile, you do get this neck and head, you do get the hat on it, and it's a sort of like it's an accidental sculpture. And it's got a lot of meaning, I think, you know, and so that's why I've emulated that one.
Like the nose?
Yeah, I see. Yeah, maybe that you see. Yeah, that's it. You might see the nose, or you might see the chin, you know. But it has got a sort of figurative thing when you put the hat on it, and you know. So it's I mean, it's a purist would probably get a bit angry that I chopped this gun up, you know, like. But you know. How many people has this gun killed? You know, this. You know, so it's about time someone chopped it up. Right, and yeah, so I'll put this one in position so you can see her. She goes in that war scene that we were talking about earlier. So, slight technical problem. Yeah. So she sort of lives there. So she's just sort of, she's just sort of observing really. She's sort of found that flower.
It's one of the originals, right?
The
original sculptures.
Yeah.
Do you do that one in brass as well?
I haven't bronze. No, we haven't. I have to wait until people order them, you know, because it's an expensive process, you know. Yeah. But yeah, she will eventually end up in bronze.
Wow, this is great.
But yeah, we're getting there. Been here a long time, haven't we, Ben?
Yeah. It's like 6 months.
I started to really feel it today, you know. I was just sitting here, just can't do anything. So I've started getting the lights out now, try and get a bit, you know, because it's only the last push now, and we're through, and we've done it, you know. Yeah. So thanks for getting that wood in there. That was good.
Oh yeah, no worries.
Yeah. So these will be all right. They've got. It looks nice, doesn't it, on the metal?
Yeah, it's great. Has this been recently completed?
This one, yeah, it has actually, yeah. Yeah, we're sitting on the workshop floor for ages, and people kept just throwing stuff on top of it, but.
We've got a few pigeons. There's a couple of pigeons in there. One in the assembly rooms and one in the grand hall. It's a bit of a bitch to get them out, isn't it, once they're in?
It's difficult, yeah, they're horrible. All right, pleasure. All right, yeah.
See you in a bit. How'd that go? Good?
Yeah. So it's going to be a show. Is this all building up towards the show? What's the focus? Is it the show or is it the act of installing it?
I think it should be the show. Are you picking that up? Yeah, the focus should be the exhibition once it's open to the public. But I think the act of installing it and everything that we've been through whilst installing it is equally as important and has been equally as, interesting and rewarding for everyone involved. Just wondering where I should take you next. Do you want to do a bit of art wars, maybe? What's your light? What setting is the lighting on at the moment?
It doesn't really matter. It's all
We go courtroom, maybe.
okay. It's like Crystal Maze.
Yeah. Apart from I'm not bald, and I haven't got a hot blonde in like black leggings running around with me, sadly. This guy would have been locked in. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
You haven't been here for a while, have you?
No, it's fine.
Oh, that's an interesting. This is fallen down. It's come off its wire. Yeah, so this is. Oh no, I can get out. Don't worry. Yeah. This is the courtroom. So this is where we're planning on having events, performances. I decided to go down the crucifixion theme for the courtroom, just in line with how much prosecution and persecution and justice has been laid out in this room. So with that in mind, that heavy subject matter, I thought the perfect theme narrative would be the crucifixion. I kind of have a bit of a personal curiosity, fascination, let's say even obsession with the crucifixion. I've done 3 exhibitions. The last one was in 2018 in St. Stephen Walbrook, which was built by Christopher Wren, who built St. Paul's, and is just a stone's throw from St. Paul's, and it's got a big Henry Moore sculpture in the middle. And I showed the work of Francis Bacon and various other high-profile artists in a crucifixion-themed exhibition. And one of the pieces which got a lot of attention was a white stormtrooper on the cross. And we had a huge sort of media frenzy about it all. And this time I wanted to show the same piece. I texted the artist, who's got quite big recently, and obviously a little bit too big for his boots because he didn't bother to respond to me. So I thought, you know what, I'm just going to do the same thing, but use the pink stormtrooper as the crucifixion. But as a piece, it's quite significant because it sort of marks the end of my career as the pink stormtrooper. I've been doing performance art or installations, stunts, shall we call it, as the pink stormtrooper. I stood once as a piece of sculpture in the Tate Modern for 4 hours. People thought that it was a piece of sculpture. I can give that to you as a piece of cutaway flashback footage. I've been in sort of political demonstrations that have turned into riots in the full armour, so you've got all that imagery of like riot police, you know, the shields and truncheons and tear gas, and then the pink stormtroopers sort of in amongst it all. I've done a striptease as the pink stormtrooper in Parliament Square in front of a huge crowd. It was like being at Glastonbury or something. I was on a stage, and then suddenly I just became inspired to start pulling all the armour off, and like, yeah, it got down to like, you know, nothing. It was a cold night as well. And then recently I had the pink stormtrooper in Los Angeles, and ended up in a strange situation where I had to host an art exhibition in the Masons Lodge in Culver City on Halloween, which, yeah, I wasn't planning on. I sort of fell into it, and it turns out that the highest Mason in LA is, and he's a member of that Masonic lodge, is a guy called Clive Revell, who played the Emperor in the first Star Wars. The guy that's kind of like,
I can see your friends on the planet Endor, and their time is now drawing close. Our plan to take over, la la la.
the guy who talks like that. So I ended up being the pink stormtrooper, meeting the Emperor. So how many fucking stormtroopers do you meet, do you find in the world that have actually met the Emperor? Not many, but this guy has. And, oh yeah, and I actually organised the pink stormtrooper to have a Star of Fame on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. So all these things over the years, these events, these little satellite moments of art performance are now embodied in this one piece of sculpture which is hanging here. I don't really plan to do any much more with the pink stormtrooper because this is it, it's finished. So when you buy this, you're buying the entire story. You're buying a 10-year life story of the pink stormtrooper, which is now being crucified. And I read on Instagram yesterday, it was someone like having a pop at it and saying this is really not good that they're doing, you know, this kind of barbaric blasphemy. And it's the first time I've ever actually seen it in black and white, being told that this is something that is potentially offensive to Christians. But that is not my it's not my reason. My intention at all is not to upset fellow Christians. I was born a Christian. I believe in God, but it's not an act of blasphemy or you know, disrespect. But interesting that it's been potentially viewed in that way. Yeah. Let's carry on.
Oh, it's your necklace as well. Yes.
Sorry. Did it pick up the sound all right?
Yeah,
was
it's fine.
so a bit of interference?
I can hear your necklace clinking and clanking.
Right. Those are the chains of hell that await me for my pink stormtrooper blasphemy. Right. This is a room being done up by Gaz Mail, who I've known Gaz for nearly 20 years now, and he's a big part of the party scene of West London and Soho. Has run Gaz's Rock and Blues for nearly 30 years. He's run a huge stand at Carnival for 30 years. and he's sort of like the godfather of West London's party scene, shall we say. So having him involved is really feels really good, because he's just, you know, part of the family, and he also brings with him his whole support network, so all the security and barmen and a whole plethora of staff that will just help run the event. So him being part of this is a really good thing, and also creates that sort of great party vibe that we all love. So in here is going to be his club room. It's going to be a sound system, decks, records being played, and just, yeah, good vibes. Cool. And then we carry on. Should we do downstairs?
Yeah, let's go. Yeah.
So now, people were often sent down, like given, convicted in the courtroom, and then taken down the stairs to spend a night in the holding cells. These are the holding cells. And down here we've been given free range to let the artist paint on the walls, and that will remain as part of the hotel. So everything that they painted will actually stay here permanently. Hey. And then, like, through here, we've got artist called Don, who's got various. Oh, that's his Joker suit. Yeah, he's obsessed with the Joker from Batman, the most recent Joker, played by Joaquin Phoenix. So I think Paul was probably planning on doing some performance as the Joker. It's got this quite interesting situation going on here with the TV. If you look through that window there, it's like a little view into his world. And then one can even feature on the TV as one of the characters. But he's got a bit of, it's nice, bit of aftershave. Okay, this is made out of like old train doors back in the day when you used to be able to smoke on the train. So there's the ashtray. So yeah, got an interesting little feature. Oh, this is good. Here is the room where the police used to use, or the whoever, police I guess, used to use this as a line-up room. And the artist has come in and used that original feature that was already here, the line-up room, and made it, you know, put his line-up of different artists. You've got Picasso, Basquiat, Dali, Warhol, Keith Haring, and yeah, and it's actually possible for the visitors to go in and be photographed in amongst it all. So like here, for example, or here, the end. Yeah. Catman. And it's by the artist Catman. Oh, I could turn the lights on in here if you want to capture.
Well, it's nice.
Yeah. And we've got different pieces of street art. These guys in here have really gone for it. They've gone full hog. Slightly depressing subject matter. This is Jack Laver. Got a little fan heater there, it's interesting. Tell you a funny story. My friend Rupert was, he became convinced that there was treasure in here, and somehow he was given this sort of psychic knowledge that there was treasure here, and he took this whole thing off and pulled this out, and sure enough there was this little box, and inside the little box was this packet of cigarettes. It had no cigarettes in, but it was a packet of cigarettes the size of a small matchbox. It was from like the 1930s or 40s. And I took a photograph of it. Well, it's just crazy how small the packet of cigarettes was. It's like, God, have we actually evolved that much that we're so much bigger now? So, and in here, or maybe it just shrunk as the years gone by. It somehow shrunk. I don't know. It's fucking weird. All right. So then this is Dot Masters. Again, another immersive cell. The dot masters, as you get closer into the image, it just disappears into dots. And that's where he gets his name from. It's the use of the dot. And yeah, doesn't so much happen with that one. This guy, we don't. So the whole thing about this one is that you don't actually go in. It's all to be viewed from here. And this is all about the guy who commandeered that cell spent quite a lot of time in prison actually, and that's his old bed from when he was in prison. And I said to him, how did you get the bed? He goes, by the time I left, I ran the fucking prison. I'm glad to say he does not run my art exhibition. He's just one of many exhibitors with a cell. Behaving himself so far. Yeah, this is again a very immersive room. And again, another immersive experience in here. Pink bear. And this is by probably the biggest street artist in London at the moment is Ben Ine. He's known for all his letters that he does on the shutters of shops in East London. Yeah. In here, welcome to the Art Wars section of things. This is a hydro-dipped stormtrooper outfit. So everything has been, all the different pieces of armour have been individually dipped into the image, which is by unskilled worker. And then it's been given a nice like lacquer over the top to give it that nice depth. And these are all various helmets that have been worked upon by different artists. See the layer of dust on this. And these are all like wearable. This piece belonged to me, this painting, and then by a different artist, but I decided to paint this guy pink. So now technically it's a piece by me. So I can sell it for 10 times what it was originally worth. And then this is called Black Storm. And the story behind this one is Alison Jackson did a piece for the first Art Wars at Saatchi Gallery, which we sold out of. And it was a white woman with a white stormtrooper helmet, white naked woman, like Helmut Newton. We sold out, so I thought, oh, I've got an idea. Let's do a black woman. Same picture, same idea. It's black woman, black helmet. It's called Black Storm. So you can sell plenty more of those now. And it's, again, it's not by Alison Jackson, it's by me. So I don't have any trouble in borrowing from people's ideas, and often people have done it to me. I think life's too short to get to get worked up about it. This is Liam's work. Liam is a core. Actually, that reminds me. I need to take Terence's. Painting. Liam is a integral member of the team. He's also responsible for sorting out all these lights. And he's done all the lights throughout the whole building. Hey? I've got to shoot off in about 15 minutes. So what else should we get?
Yeah, action.
Well, what can I say? Having this space has been like a dream come true. I've often, through my 15-year career in the art world, I've often fantasized about having a big building where I could just curatorially be free and not be compromised by the need to make money in terms of like having to charge exhibitors or artists or galleries for space, and just be able to ask the artists that I like to work with to take part. And that's been a huge privilege to be able to do that and to create this sort of scene and this community, bringing everyone together. And I think what we've managed to create here is really unique, because you go to a gallery or an art fair, the difference is here is that the artists have had the space to work into the walls for over 5 months. So they've been able to create these immersive caves, these immersive rooms, which you just wouldn't be able to do at an art fair, because at an art fair you've got 2 days to set up, it's open for 4 days, and that's the end of it. And the same in a white wall gallery. It's white walls with paintings or sculptures in the gallery. Whereas here we've had this unique opportunity to do something that you really wouldn't see elsewhere in London. So it's been a hell of a ride, and I've loved every moment of it. Now's the really difficult bit, which is all the organisation, admin, and logistics that needs to happen. So the fun bit for me is over, and now the really hard bit begins, and that's making it all work and making sure the public can come and see this. Here we go. Yeah.